send to meet them and say, is it peace? Where's it at? Oh, come on, I want to find it. It's verse 20. The watchman on the top reports he has reached them, but he is not coming back. And the driving is like the driving of Jehu, the son of Nimshi, for he drives furiously. Fast and the Furious in the Old Testament. Did you know that? Before it was even a movie. Right? He drove his chariot furiously. And he is booking it. And he winds up taking Joram and killing him. Now here's where the last part of the lesson this morning. You remember we talked about Naboth and his vineyard? And you remember how God sends Elijah to Ahab? Elijah goes to Ahab at Naboth's vineyard and says, you shouldn't have done this, and there you will have to pay a price. And in fact, he says, this very land of Naboth's, where you spilled his blood, your blood will be there. Now, Ahab doesn't die in Naboth's vineyard. So it seems like the prophecy doesn't come true. But the blood of Ahab flows in his children. And when Joram becomes king, notice this. And another interesting connection comes in 2 Kings chapter 9 and verse 24. Jehu draws his bow with full strength and shoots Joram, Jezebel's son, between the shoulders. The arrow pierces his heart. He sinks in his chariot. And Jehu says to Bidkar, the other general, his aide, take him up and throw him on the plot of ground belonging to Naboth, the Jezreelite. For remember, listen to this, when you and I rode side by side behind Ahab his father, how the Lord made this pronouncement against him. What does that mean? When King Ahab went to Naboth's vineyard to take it, he had his entourage with him, and in that entourage was his 4-star general, Jehu, son of Nimshi. And Jehu heard the pronouncement from Elijah that said, you're going to be punished for this act. And so he fulfills that prophecy with not Ahab's body, but the body of the next king who disobeys God, Joram. But it goes farther than that. Why is Jehu the one who is chosen to be king? Look in 2 Kings chapter 9. We already talked about Jehu the son of Nimshi. Jehu the son of Nimshi. But what does 2 Kings chapter 9 and verse 2 say? When Elisha sends this messenger to Jehu, he says, when you arrive, look there for Jehu the son of Jehoshaphat, the son of Nimshi. I don't think anybody knows the connection that Jehu has with the good King Jehoshaphat from the southern kingdom. And there's apparently a connection there that's strong enough that Jehu feels obligated to work for the Lord, even while he is heading up Ahab's army. And then when Ahab dies, he still continues to head up the army of Ahab's 2 sons, Jehoram and Ahaziah, until the moment comes when God anoints him to be the next king. Why was Jehu going to be the next king? Because if you continue reading in 2 Kings chapter 10 and verse 18, we won't read this whole section. But when Jehu establishes himself, eventually he goes to Jezebel and he dethrones Jezebel. He takes care of all of the other descendants of Ahab so that none of them can rise up and take over the throne again to start that reign dedicated to Baal. And then Jehu goes to the temple of Baal and says, now that I'm king, I want to offer a sacrifice to Baal. In fact, what does it say in verse 18? Jehu assembled all the people and said to them, Ahab served Baal a little. Jehu will serve him much. He comes before the people and says, I can't wait to serve Baal. I need every single prophet of Baal in the whole kingdom to come see me, and we're going to go in here and offer a sacrifice. And it's a trap. He's got the army waiting, and the prophets of Baal are trapped, and they're killed. They're removed from the northern kingdom. All the work that Ahab had done, all the work Jezebel had done, all the work Athaliah had done. And Jehu works to eradicate it. As much as Elijah did on Mount Carmel when he defeated the prophets of Baal, Jehu does even better. Athaliah, remember she's the queen down in the southern kingdom. Athaliah tries to control the southern kingdom by wiping out the royal palace. But her sister-in-law saves one child. His name is Joash. He's just an infant. But she, his aunt, she's married to the high priest. And so she takes this baby, Joash, and she runs with him, her nephew, into the temple, and the high priest and his wife take care of him for the 6 years that Athaliah is queen. She thinks she's wiped everybody off the planet. She thinks she's the only one who has a claim to the throne. For 6 long years, the high priest and his wife know the truth. Joash is 7 years old when he becomes king. And Joash, if you turn, of course, obviously we don't have time to read all of this. But when Joash reigns as king in 2 Kings chapter 12, the end of chapter 11 and chapter 12, that's the one that repairs the temple. That's the one that rebuilds the temple. That's the one listening to the advice of his uncle. If you want to finish the sermon, you can. I know he will. I'm just picking. I'm sorry. He doesn't agree with my assessment of history. That may be what's happening. He has alternate facts. Joash is raised by his aunt and uncle to know God. And because of that, when he comes into power, he wipes out everyone who's worshiping Baal. Now think about this. We've had years and years where Ahab and Jezebel, where Athaliah and Joram, where all of these people were in control of the north and the south, and they had everybody following Baal. And it seemed like that was it. But the whole time, you go back to 1 Kings chapter 19, when Elijah thought, I'm the only person in this entire kingdom who's worshiping God. God, I'm the only person who's bothering to follow you anymore. I'm the only one left. And God says, you ain't seen nothing yet. He says, I got 7,000 people who are waiting in the wings who have not bowed the knee to Baal. When the time comes, they'll be ready. And he says, Elijah, when you leave this place, I want you to go out and find Hazael and anoint him to be king of Syria. How can he even anoint a new king in Syria? But that's exactly what he does. And then after you leave Hazael, I want you to go find Jehu. And you're going to anoint Jehu to be king of Israel. And that's exactly what his servant Elisha will do. His predecessor Elisha will do that exact thing that we've talked about today. He said, then after you take care of Jehu, you go out and you find Elisha, and you let Elisha be your protege. And anybody that gets away from Syria, Jehu's going to take care of. And anybody that Jehu can't take care of, Elisha's going to take care of. I've got this whole thing taken care of. This is at least a full generation before anything we talked about today takes place. None of the events we talked about in today's lesson is going to happen for a full generation later. And God tells Elijah exactly what will take place because he's got a plan. And because of that, Jehu, who's related to Jehoshaphat, and Joash, who is Jehoshaphat's grandson, great-grandson, the two of them begin a period in the north and the south where God is put back on the throne. What went from being a moment of almost complete destruction, it was almost completely obliterated, there was almost no one worshiping God anymore, to a complete turnaround to where the new king, Jehu, in the northern tribes has people worshiping God. And at the same time, Joash, who's only 8 years old, who's his nephew or his grandnephew, is over here in the southern kingdom, and he's enacting the same kind of reforms as well. We're going to begin worshiping in the temple like we should. We're going to begin doing all the kinds of things that God has told us to do in years past. And God took care of establishing all of that, and he said to Elijah long before it even happened, look, here's how it's going to work out. Don't worry. If God can take care of all of these different plans that we have, or if God can take care of all the plans that we read about in these intricacies, the political intrigue, the back and forth between great nations and their schemes, and God can look at all those things and say, yeah, I've got that completely under control. What can God do with us if we'll trust him? Is there anything that's going to be too complicated in my life? Just little old me living in Florence, Alabama? If God can control the course of kings, and isn't that what Proverbs tells us? The course of the king, the life of the king is like a river in the hands of the Lord. He turns it whichever way he wills. If God can control the destinies of such great empires like that, surely I can trust God to take care of me today. And so can you. We'll sing this invitation song as an opportunity for you to let us know how we can help you. If you're struggling to turn something over to God this morning, the legacy that we talk about, as we tie this into our Grandparents' Day and our honoring of our kids, Jehoshaphat, 3 and 4 generations later, it's his own descendants that are able to come and undo the damage that Jezebel and Ahab have tried to enact. They thought they had won the day, but God can take even the smallest spark and he can use that to win the battle. And today, if that's what you need, we want to give you the opportunity to take advantage of it. If we can give you that small spark of hope right now, whatever it is that you need, let us know by coming forward as we stand together and as we sing this song.
If you are here and have not had the opportunity to take the Lord's Supper, it is prepared for you. You go through the door to my right, and someone will be there to serve you. Again, thank you for all that you've done today, for your attendance, for preparing food, for inviting others, and for being here. Again, next Sunday, we're going to have our online Awareness Sunday. I encourage you to be inviting others to come and be here for that. Stefan Darby, an elder at Jackson Heights, a local business person in the computer business, is going to be presenting these lessons. It's going to give us a lot of information on the things, the good features and the bad features of social media and online things. So hope that you'll be here and be here for that. Our teenagers through adults will have a combined class time period. Then he'll present our 10 o'clock service, and then we'll meet again at 5 o'clock for that. Again, Matt Kaiser is now at home. Also, Randall Rhodes has requested prayers. Please remember Randall in your prayers. Tuesday morning Bible class at 10. Ladies prayer meeting Tuesday night at 6. That'll be here at the building. So I hope that you'll take part in all these different things. Let's stand at this time. We'll have a closing song and closing prayer.
Let's sing one verse, please, of number 2. We praise thee, O God, as we are dismissed together. Number 2.
We praise thee, O God, for the Son of thy love, for Jesus who died and is our God above. Hallelujah, thine the glory, hallelujah, amen. Hallelujah, thine the glory, revive us again.
Let's pray. Our Father, we thank Thee for letting us come here again and study and learn more about Your Word. Father, we thank Thee for Adam, that he can bring a lesson in a way that even the youngest here can understand it. Father, we ask You to be with all the ones that have asked for prayer for being sick. You know what they need to get better. We ask You to bless them that they will get better. Father, as Tuesday approaches, I ask You to bless all the ones that's in public service and civilians. On this date, 17 years ago, our country was attacked. Father, we thank Thee for our soldiers that are keeping our country free. We ask You to bless them. Bless us all in Your name. Amen.